let's move on to our next slide. Okay, example of graphic organizers. The first one we have outline. For instance, like on our previous slide, an outline is a form of notes presented in a linear style. It contains headings, subheadings, and example presented in a text. Special symbols are used to show how the ideas and details relate to one another. Right? As you can see previously here. Okay, this is the basic outline presented in a linear style. Right? Okay, so let's take a look on our next slide. Okay, this is figure 2.2. Same thing, but then much more elaborate. Title, introduction, usually written in full paragraph form. Okay, specific purpose, background information, rationale of talk existing, problem, significance of topic, scope, area to be delivered in your text, whatever scope that you are trying to deliver to your audience. Body, elaboration of scope. Elaboration means penerangan of scope. Scope apa yang awak akan cuba terangkan? Okay, it will involve discussion, arguments, analysis, gearing towards purpose. Points can be phrase or sentence form. Okay, this will be your main points in your body paragraph. So sub point, this will be your example, and every single sub point you need to have a further explanation. Right, and it goes the same, because normally whenever you write an essay, you will have 5 paragraphs. Okay, 5 paragraphs. The first paragraph will consist of introductory paragraph. The 3 next paragraph will be your body paragraph. It will consist of your main points, your examples, as well as your concluding sentence. And the last paragraph, peringatan terakhir, will be your conclusion. Okay, conclusion. In your conclusion, will have a recommendation, suggestion, or perhaps how to solve the problems. Right? There you go. Conclusion, and then bibliography, which means any citation that you have made. Okay? So try to look at this slide and try to study them, because it is similar to the points or how you organize your ideas whenever you write an essay. Okay? This is like a linear style. Right? I'll give you about 10 seconds more before we move on to our next slide. Okay, 3, 2, 1, time. So let's move on to our next slide. So this is number 2, mind map. Mind mapping is another way of making notes. In a mind map, the main idea is placed at the center, while the sub-ideas are branched out in all directions. Okay, so your main ideas will be put at the center here, and then you will branch out other supporting details or perhaps examples for you to come out, for you to elaborate for each ideas that you have branched out. Okay, so this is normally the method that I use whenever I was in my secondary school and even in primary school, and it is normally used whenever I do brainstorming with my groups in my university year. Mind map. To get used to this method by using graphic organizers, it will definitely help you much more effectively whenever you organize your own ideas, whenever you try to jot down notes, whenever you want to elaborate more on the point, whenever you do, regardless whether you do individual work or perhaps whenever you do it in a group. Right? So this is figure 2.3, mind map. Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. Note, the following are useful guidelines when drawing a mind map. Okay, these are useful guidelines. Maksudnya langkah-langkah ataupun langkah yang berguna bila awak gunakan mind map ni. Start by writing the title of the subject. Draw a line out from the title to the other subheadings. For number 1, this will be placed at the center. at the center here, right? You put it here, and then start by writing the title of the subject. Draw a line out from the title to the other subheading. So these are the subheadings, right? And then facilitate memory recall by using different shapes and colors. Okay, whenever you want to reinforce your memory and you want to make it interesting for you to memorize that illustration or figure that you have come up with or you have constructed, try to mix with shapes and colors because it will reinforce more. If let's say caution or danger or beware, normally we will use much stronger color, for instance like red or perhaps orange, perhaps really bright color, right? If things that might be soothing for you to memorize or things that might be less important, you can use much lighter color, perhaps blue or yellow. Yep, because color will somehow define the importance of information that you might categorize later on. So use single word or simple short phrases in the mind map. This is where abbreviation comes in hand, because whenever you use mind map, whenever you use graphic organizer, when you want to use it as revision, or perhaps when you want to make it a simpler notes, then use graphic organizer. At the same time, use abbreviation to make the word or phrases much more simpler or lesser. Okay, whenever it is simpler and lesser words that you need to read, it is easier for you to memorize more and for you to understand more, and it is much more useful when you read, when you try to do, when you want to make a revision for whatever topic previously, in order for you to sit for your exam or test, right? Use lines, arrows, colors to link ideas. Okay, as you can see here, we use arrows to link ideas at the center, right? Okay, so let's move on to our next example. As you can see, number 3 here, table. Some information is best transferred into a table form, especially when the information can be classified into several categories. So idea 1, we put it into 1, idea 2, we put it into details 2. For instance, let's say if we give example, male students, they would prefer topic which consists of vehicle or transportation or perhaps motorcycle. For female student, they would prefer lifestyles or perhaps fashion or even food. Okay, we categorize the points or information, we put it into table, and then we separate it accordingly based on their respective category. Okay, because this is normally we can find easily in your examination papers, tables being used, or perhaps in your own classroom timetable, because we are using table, right? And then perhaps instruction or outing for students who sleeps in colleges, right? So note, columns and rows must be given clear titles and headings, right? It must be clear, must be simple, right? So I'll give you time, 10 seconds before we move to our next slide.